Lots of faces I see from the retreat we just did, so hi. We had fun. I had fun doing an 8-day retreat down at Mount Madonna. We just got back on the weekend, so that was amazing. And here we are. So we're going to, as usual, do a 1-hour guided sit. And then after the guidance, I'll talk for a bit. And then after I talk for a bit, we'll see if you guys have anything you want to say. We'll pass the microphone around if you want to talk about your experience or have questions or whatever. And after that, we will then do like a very short, like maybe 5 or 7 minutes silent sit to end things. And then after that, hanging out in the lobby, having some tea, having some talks. Okay? Sound like a plan? Because it's an hour-long meditation, if you're on the floor, I hope you're used to sitting cross-legged and motionless for an hour, because that can be challenging if you're not used to it. We do have chairs, so if what I just said concerned you at all, consider moving to a chair now rather than in the middle of the sit. Yeah, very wise. Because sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable if you're not used to it. Okay, so let's just begin by, let's just start out with, let's just go full woo and just go, okay, set your intention for whatever you're doing here. Why are you here? Why do you meditate at all? Why do you care? Really think about that. It can be anything from I was bored and wanted to see what was going on here to I meditate to help every being in the universe, or anything in between, or anything else for that matter. But just consider that for a moment. Why are you even here? And then we can add in next. I'll pause for just a second to give you a chance to do that. And then we can add in next what we might call an invocation phase. So if there's, any bodhisattvas or beings of any kind, or even, teachers who you want to, remember or whatever, however you do that, whether it's sort of like prayer to beings or just remembrance of inspiration or whatever. Let's for a moment, let's say a whole minute, just kind of tune into that. Yeah, so set up for our sit. Okay, good. Then from there, let's just briefly do a little bit of kind of like movement together. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but I want you to like kind of get in your body a bit. So I usually start by doing these breaths like this. And continuing to breathe while I'm up here, not just holding my breath. Again, you do what you want. Your body's different than mine. And then coming over this way, opening up the side ribs and getting a lot of air. Continuing to breathe. Sometimes I look down while doing this, and then back up. And then coming up. Nice breaths. Again, you can do whatever you want. This is just my version. And then coming down this way. Up, looking down. Yeah, almost pops my neck doing that. Okay. And then coming up. And then my favorite, all the way down in front. Getting that top of the pelvic ridge and lower back and all that nice and stretched out and open. You can mildly go from side to side if you wish, as if you're a catfish hunting with your electric sense. And then coming up. Kind of wiggling a little bit to get everything back in place. And then the next part is about circles. So hand circles and wrist circles and elbow circles and shoulder circles, right? And you can do them any way you want. Just open that up, open that up, open that up. Okay, then while doing that, we're gonna do lion's pose. So while still moving, we'll do a lion's pose. Ready? Very good. Big eyes, tongue out. That was maybe a third of the people. So everybody ready? Lion's pose. Go. Excellent. All right, now freak out. Just do whatever. I just want to pound my head on the floor, but maybe I'll wait till afterwards. Okay. Okay. You guys aren't freaking out enough. Really freak out. Excellent. There we go. We got some freaking out happening. Whew. Okay. Now settle in. And what we do here is move our spines in a circle. You can move it one way, you can move it another. Picturing your spine not as some kind of erector set like metal thing, but like a sapling, a very supple sapling in a gentle breeze, so that it's, wet and spongy and springy and alive and not so old you need a new one. And just kind of move that around. And then what I want you to do is find the spot where it's perfectly balanced. So, and we don't lock it in. And really, that whole thing of like locking your spine in place, do not do that. Let your spine find a balanced spot where it's naturally, easily upright, perfectly equipoised. So it's still supple, it's still alive, it's still awake. It's not some kind of military thing that you turned the wing nut on and now it's just locked. Okay, so let there still be, the word that's coming to mind is simplicity, which I don't think is a word, but suppleness in there. Supplitude. The spine is awake, the spine is alive, the spine is happy, right? Everybody feel that? It's not military, it's not locked, it's not rigid. It's alive, it's open, it's happy. Okay. Now, just allow your mind to kind of imagine your mind as a bundle of sticks that are all tied together. And what I want you to do is just snip the thing tying them together so the bundle of sticks just falls apart. Effortlessly, the whole thing just falls apart. So that you're kind of resting as open space, open sky, open awareness, rather than locked inside the machinery of thought. It's okay if the machinery of thought keeps chugging along, that's completely fine. Just don't hop on board. Stay in the sky-like, wide awake, wide openness that is effortlessly there when we're not way down inside the machinery of thought. It's effortlessly boundless, clear, open, bright. And from that place, let's intone a seed syllable together. I'm very excited to do the seed syllable KRIM, which in English you'd spell something like HREEM. I think enough of the folks in this room have done this with me before that the rest of you will pick it up. So we'll do this for several minutes. I just want you to be open sky, and there's wind in that sky, and the wind in the sky is making the sound of a seed syllable. This is a powerful seed syllable. KRIM. So, KRIM. So just let the energy of that seed syllable ring out through the sky of awakeness, the boundless openness, and feel that energy in that space of awakeness. KRIM is very clear, very bright. And from that place, what I'd like you to do is to notice in the most gentle way possible that within this vast sky of awakeness, the wind of the breath is rising and falling. Okay, so you're not really meditating on your breath as such, but you are aware that it's coming and going. So we're mainly just resting as openness, not engaged with any thought that's happening, even though thought is probably happening. We're just not getting in there with it. And instead, we're just noticing mainly simple, open presence, simple, natural awakeness. And within that sky of awakeness, there's a wind rising and falling of the breath. The wind of the breath is rising and falling. So let's sit like that together relatively quietly for a while here. Remember, don't engage with thinking. Using something like 3% or 5% of your attention on the breath, just very, very gently. And other than that, just resting in presence, not all involved in the virtual world of thought, but just being present in awakeness, which is broad and spacious. And using that coming and going of the breath as a sort of touchstone, not an object you're trying to deconstruct or somehow, get into the microphenomenology of, but it's just there. It's a nice breeze coming and going in the sky of awakeness. Notice how when you're disengaged from the machinery of thought, you are just naturally present, naturally open, naturally at ease. It's only when you get down inside all that conceptual, all the conceptual cogs and gears, that it gets all tight. So just set that aside. Come into simple presence. If you find yourself distracted into the virtual world of thought, come back into presence, into here and now. Just simply resting in presence. And noticing the breath wave coming and going. The breath wave helps you stay present. Letting each out-breath, each exhalation of the wind in the sky just bring more relaxation and openness to being present. Very simply, very naturally. Good. Now, if you want to stay with that, just stay with that for the rest of the sit. Or if you want to continue with the guidance, then begin to notice the breath in the whole body and how, as we breathe, the entire body is moving, the entire body is energized. So same things, resting is wide open, wide awakeness, the clear, bright sky of being, and the wind of the breath is rising and falling, but it's rising and falling as the entire body. You can feel the whole body moving, expanding, contracting, vibrating, buzzing, tingling. And notice that as we begin to tune into that body as breath, the energy quality, the tingly quality, the wave-like quality starts to dissolve the difference between the imagined difference between the body and the sky of awakeness. The body is nothing but the sky of awakeness. So just slowly feel that. That's not prescriptive. That's not something you're supposed to imagine. It just starts to feel that way after a while. The body opens up, essentially. Almost as if the body itself is just wind in the sky of awakeness. Flowing easy and open. Good. Now see if you can notice. Again, notice, not imagine. The energy behind the breath. So, from a physical way of describing it, the muscles and so on are moving, and that's what's powering the breath. But in the traditions, we would talk about what's the energy that moves all that. And regardless of what you think about that, you can feel the energy that moves. So tune into the energy that's moving the breath in the whole body. It's much subtler, but also more powerful. We might even call it the breath behind the breath, but I would call it the energy behind the breath, the energy that moves the breath. Feel that, and you'll feel that it's what's allowing the whole body to feel vibratory and open. So tune into that if that's available. If it's not, that's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's the same energy that moves the machinery of the mind, which we're still not engaged with. If you find yourself engaged, come back to being with this energy behind the breath, the energy behind the body. Underneath, inside. Something that can be really interesting here is to begin mentally doing the seed syllable again with your breath. So on the in-breath, we just bring in the in-breath, but on that out-breath, we mentally intone KRIM and feel it vibrating in that energy behind the breath. Powerfully uplifting it and clarifying it and focusing it. Noticing how the energetic, vibratory flavor of body sensation increases quite a bit with the help of that seed syllable. There's more of that available. It's more noticeable. If you know how to do Ujjayi breath, oddly, that actually increases it quite a bit as well. Good. Now, if that's difficult, you might wish to stay and just keep feeling that, feeling into it, growing with that, opening with that. But if you'd like to go further on our journey here, you notice that within that energy, there is just more wide open sky. It's not somehow down inside a body, it's the sky outside and the sky inside. There's just one big sky, one vast openness, awakeness, clarity. And that the wind or the energy behind the breath is moving within that openness. And it helps here to imagine that the in-breath is moving down and the out-breath is moving up in the sky. When we breathe in, the in-breath is moving down in that awakeness and that openness, and then on the out-breath, the wind is moving up, 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 up. But that the entire interior of the body is just a vast open sky with no boundary at all, no actual interior. It is open. Remember, it's not a visualization, it's not something we're imagining, you're feeling it directly. And if you're not, that's okay, just drop back to the last place that felt like you could do it. So on each out breath, the energy behind the breath is flowing upward with the sound of the seed syllable KRIM. And on the in-breath, the breath flows down, the energy goes down the other way. In this vast openness within. Good, and if you want to, you can imagine that the upward flowing KRIM energy is a ball of light. The ball of light just rises with the KRIM far above what we would conventionally think of as the limits of the body, moving far out into space, and towards the end getting actually more intense and brighter and brighter. And then we just breathe in again. If it feels like the energy is getting to be too much, just notice that the sky is so open, the boundlessness is so vast that it can handle any amount of energy. Good, and then notice how that bright light energy radiates out at the very end of the out-breath with the KRIM. Just spreads to all of the space. And that all of the space reveals itself to be awake. It's not that the awakeness is somehow located anywhere, it's located everywhere. The awakeness is in all parts of experience. The visual field is awake, everything in the visual field is awake. The auditory field is awake, every part of the auditory field is awake. And all other sense gates and all other parts of experience are radiant with clarity, light, and awakeness. Utterly clear, primordially pure, unborn, unconditioned awakeness. The thing you think you are is something appearing in awakeness, not somehow causing awakeness. The not thing you actually are is just the vast space of awakeness itself. And all parts of the field of experience are not only as awake as every other part, but just as alive, just as radiant, just as meaningful, just as powerful, just as sacred as any other part. The feeling of body sensation, the experience of thought, all of that is simply arising within this vast awakeness. And now let go of any sense that anyone's doing anything, let go of any sense of meditating, let go of any sense of evaluation, control, checking, judging, deciding, and just totally release into nobody doing anything. Nobody doing nothing. And just rest as awakeness itself. totally disengaged from any particular content of mental activity. Just noticing that arises as well. That's awake as well. That's sacred as well. We're not trying to stop it, but it's just another thing happening. Good. Now from this primordially pure, wide awake, unborn, pristine awakeness, openness, presence, allow this seed syllable KRIM to arise again, this time vocalized externally, but radiating out through all of space. Okay, let's end that there. Noticing that even when we end the meditation, nothing changes. The vast space of awakeness is still vast and awake, whether we're moving or meditating or not. That's just the way it is. So one of the instructions I probably always give at the beginning is, you rest as openness by disengaging from thought, or, disengaging from the machinery of thought, or the machinery of the mind. Sometimes I just tell people, just take it like an object, like a toaster, and just set it aside. But still, it's kind of a unusual instruction. And so, I just want to talk about that for a minute and say, the kind of normal way to talk about it in meditation tradition is to, not get involved in thought, or don't, or much worse, don't think. So I'm never saying don't think. So we're never trying to suppress thought, or make thought go away, or demonize thought, or somehow dispel thought, or wipe the slate of the mind clean, or anything like that. Okay? Instead, what I'm saying is, you can tell when there's like almost a sense of gripping on, or grabbing on, or even hooking on to thought. And when you notice you're doing that, just relax. Although if you're kind of with it enough, if you're awake enough and clear enough to notice that little, you're probably not going to get caught. Right? You can see it happening. And so if that's clear, then you're probably, just going to be able to sit disengaged, because you're noticing that clearly. But if you're not, and you just keep finding that you've already, hopped on the speedboat and it's 100 yards downstream before you wake up to the fact that you're caught, then it is simply, okay, you've grabbed on, or you've hooked on, just release. You don't have to do anything more. You don't have to push the thought away. You don't have to somehow dispel it or drop anything like that. You just relax, let it go, and it can continue on. But there's no need to do anything more than that, because it will just continue on, and you come back then to resting as simple presence. What do I mean by resting as simple presence? Well, simply present and resting, just not engaged in thinking. So that usually means something like, if you were to be active about it, it's like, well, feel your butt on the cushion, and feel how your legs feel, and feel your breathing, and listen to the sounds of the room. And if your eyes are open, see the sights of the room, and every other part of experience that's not holding on to thought. The way I'm describing it, and the way I want you to do it, is not grabbing onto each of those things, like, okay, I'm going to really now focus on the feeling in my butt, or I'm going to really focus on breathing, or anything like that. When I describe it, it can sound like that, but instead it's just being present with all that without focus, while not engaged in thinking. So try it for a minute. Okay, it's kind of a weird move. You don't have to sit up or anything. Don't change your posture. Just let your mind not engage with thinking. It's not grabbing on. It's not doing that thing. But you're not focusing on anything else. Except just, presence, which is naturally open. That's why we don't want to focus on other things specifically, like even the sensation of breath. I was like, keep that very, very, very minorly in attention, because otherwise we narrow down. We go back into a different little tight little channel. It's not the thought, but it's still a little channel. So we want to stay present, we want to stay open. So just notice that you can continue to let the part of your mind that normally grabs onto thought not grab on. And the thought will just burble by like a freely flowing stream. It's just doing its own thing. You don't have to do anything with it. Hint, it takes care of itself all the time anyway. It doesn't need you to pretend to take care of it. And then you're just resting in presence, not focusing on anything. And when I say that, that sounds active, right? Like, okay, I'm going to not focus. But it's the opposite. It's just allowing the natural openness to be open. It's really quite easy, because focusing on anything is effortful. When you it's a tightening, right? When we just relax the tightening, relaxed. So it's quite probable that if you're new to that, you'll get caught up in thinking again and again and again and again and again. Don't fight it. Don't get to your best of your ability. Don't get frustrated or like, it's just okay. You ever play with a brand new puppy that really wants to bite you, and it's just like, okay, just it's grabbing on, it's not really hurting you, but it's really rambunctious and it's trying to do all this stuff, and you just kind of get real loose with it and just keep it from doing any damage, but it's not going to stop, so it's just very relaxed. You don't really have to exert much effort to let it just do its thing, but you're just being there. You're not trying to control it or hold it down or something. So it's like, okay, you just play. No problem. Now I want to play with a puppy. Okay, that's my brilliant lecture. Now, Faiza will bring around a microphone. And if you want to say something or sort of bring up some kind of curiosity, then do that, just remembering that please be mindful of your speech in a group where everyone's just meditated together, people are unusually open. And furthermore, that it's being streamed live to the internet. Okay? So it'll be on there forever. So go ahead and raise your hands. Faiza's really nice. You don't have to be scared.
You have a question? You have a question?
If you want to report on your experience or say how that was for you or ask me a question, now is your chance.
I guess you explained it really well today.
Good.
Thank you for the meditation today.
You're welcome.
I have a question about when you said keeping 3 to 5% on the breath.
Yeah,
What if that goes down to 0?
it's okay.
It's okay, because I got scared.
You got scared?
Yeah,
Of what?
I don't know, of dying.
Okay, well, that's actually good. It doesn't feel that fun, but it means that you're, well, let me put it this way: you're not going to die. And so, why do you think you might have had that fear? Why might that have come up in that moment? Any guesses?
I thought for a second that I fell asleep, but I checked on myself, I did not.
Yeah.
But at the moment of falling asleep, a couple of times I just got scared and pulled myself back.
Yeah. So just keep
startled.
that'll happen a bunch, and then eventually you won't get scared and you'll just rest there in that place. Okay, so that's good, and that's why I say it's good even that you get scared like that, because you're truly letting go of being an ego, truly letting go of being a sock puppet, and so that attachment or identification with that makes you think, oh, if I let go of that, I'll die, I'll disappear, I'll vanish. But notice you're still here. You don't actually die, you don't actually vanish. So oddly, the best way to work with it is just get used to it over and over and over. Okay. Yep. Very good. Not used to this new setup. Woo!
This is a report that mentally vocalizing KRIM while breathing out. That was really cool. Like I definitely felt something.
What'd you feel?
Just I was already feeling some PT, and it was just more tingly and more fuzzy.
Got more intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it will tend to do. Did you notice that the energy started? Did body dissolve type stuff, or opening up the? Yeah. Very good. There's all kinds of ways to work with that. Other stuff, comments, questions, scathing critiques, manifestos.
This is more just a report. I've had this intractable migraine for like the past month and a half. And in my
so
practice,
sorry.
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
In my practice, I've been trying to work with it really directly, like the experiences that I'm having in my body, which hasn't been really helpful. But I feel like today, sort of just like releasing the experience into like the greater like field of experience was super helpful. So I'm thinking about how I can access that more readily in my life throughout the day.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad it helped. The thing is that the feeling of being stuffed inside a body is like being, who was saying it at the retreat? It's like, sometimes I've said it's like being spam, like shoved in a can. And that's not what's really going on. That's imaginary. Our awakeness, the body arises within the awakeness, not the other way around. And so there is a lot of room. And so just surrendering and letting those feelings expand as much as they want to. There's more than enough resource there for them to, be handled. So if you just keep kind of coming back to just the sense of openness, it really helps. And of course, the meditation is recorded, so if you are in the mood, just do it again.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome.
I do appreciate
Woo!
the guided meditation. Thank you. I had the opposite experience though. And my headache started coming on the longer I tried to not engage in my thoughts directly.
Yes. So was anything about that producing physical tension?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. It's like when we disengage in that way, you want to do it and be relaxed and have the physical tension not build like that, because of course that will hurt eventually. And so you may have to kind of like experiment a little bit and play with it and find the spot where it's loose and open and not some kind of strain or effort. Okay, sometimes people also are trying to do it with a kind of like tight concentration, and they get their eyes tight, and the tension in the eye muscles also will do that. So remember, to do this meditation, you don't need to use your eyes to do anything. I mean, they might be open, but we're not needing to focus them or look at something specific with them, so they can be super relaxed. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just a short report was that I also really liked the mental vocalizing twice and then the mental vocalization of KRIM. And when the energy, when you said the words to find the energy behind the breath, I felt a kind of like a spiraling ribbon going up the middle and throughout up and out of my spine. It was very slow,
Yeah.
and it would kind of like pulse with the breathing energy, I suppose, or whatever other energy it was. I'm not sure, but it was truly like squares in the back because it was like rotating me like this, and that was new.
Yeah, that can very often do that. So it's a really kind of an unknown type experience. So awesome that you are really feeling the energy behind the breath there. So very good.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, let's end the Q&A there, and we'll just sit quietly together for a little while. You don't have to do anything except stay quiet. thank you so much for coming out and meditating with me tonight. Feel free to put your cushions back over on the side. Clean up the room. And then we, meet in the lobby and have some tea and maybe a snack or two and talk to other meditation freaks. Okay? See you next week.